Life will always put you in situations where people try to test your patience. They will push your buttons, challenge your peace, and sometimes intentionally try to provoke you. But here's the truth. No one can control your emotions unless you hand them the remote. The power to stay calm, to remain unshaken, to rise above negativity, that power is yours. Anger is natural, but it is also costly. It drains your energy, clouds your judgment, and gives control to the very people who want to unsettle you. The secret isn't to avoid challenges or difficult people. The secret is mastering yourself. It's learning how to build such inner strength that nothing and no one can disturb your peace. Today, I want to share with you 10 powerful principles on how to never get angry or bothered by anyone. These aren't just ideas. They are habits, mindsets, and daily practices that will protect your energy and help you rise above. Your inner peace is the most valuable possession you will ever own. It is more precious than money, more powerful than status, and more healing than anything you can buy. Because when your peace is intact, you think clearly, you act with strength, and you carry yourself with grace. But when you allow others to disrupt that peace, you lose control, not just of your emotions, but of your entire direction in life. Think of your peace like a fortress. Not everyone should be allowed inside. Yet too often, people open their gates wide, letting in noise, drama, gossip, and negativity until their inner world becomes chaotic. And then they wonder why they feel drained, restless, or easily provoked. Protecting your peace is about guarding your energy as carefully as you would guard your most valuable treasure. Because that's exactly what it is, the foundation that keeps everything else stable. People will always have opinions. They will criticize, provoke, or try to get you into reacting. But here's the truth. You don't owe anyone access to your mind, your emotions, or your peace. The moment you let someone disturb it, you hand them power they never earned. Protecting your peace means reclaiming that power, choosing when to engage and when to stay silent, when to step forward and when to step back. Protecting peace is also about creating boundaries, not as a wall of fear, but as a shield of strength. It's saying, this is my space, this is my energy. Not everyone is allowed to enter. When you live this way, you stop reacting to every insult, every provocation, every little disturbance. You begin to prioritize what truly matters, your growth, your joy, your clarity. And suddenly, anger becomes optional because no one can bother a person who is deeply rooted in their own calm. Not every battle deserves your presence. Not every opinion needs your reply. Not every attack requires your defense. The mistake many people make is trying to fight every fight that comes their way, correcting every insult, addressing every critic, reacting to every provocation. And what happens? They exhaust themselves, not realizing that their energy is being wasted on noise that has no value. Choosing your battles wisely means understanding that your energy is a limited resource. You cannot afford to spend it recklessly on people who thrive on pulling you down. Every time you argue with someone who only wants to drain you, you give them exactly what they wanted, your attention. But when you choose not to engage, you keep your energy where it belongs, with your growth, your goals, your peace. Sometimes silence is the strongest weapon, because nothing confuses an instigator more than being ignored. They expect you to fight back, to justify, to defend yourself. But when you rise above, when you don't engage in every confrontation, you show them something more powerful. You show them that their words have no weight, that their negativity doesn't touch you, that you are too focused, too grounded, and too powerful to waste time proving yourself to people who will never see your value anyway. Choosing battles wisely also means asking yourself, does this matter a week from now, a month from now, a year from now? Most of the things that trigger anger or irritation are temporary. They pass as quickly as they came. But if you let them control you in the moment, you pay a price much bigger than the situation itself. You sacrifice your peace. And no temporary irritation is worth the cost of long-term peace. Wisdom is knowing that some battles are beneath you, not because you're arrogant, but because you value your time and energy too much to waste it. When you choose your battle carefully, you remain unbothered, unshaken, and unstoppable. You save your strength for the moments that truly matter, for the challenges that deserve your courage, for the goals that deserve your fight. One of the biggest reasons people get angry or bothered is because they take everything personally. A rude comment, a careless remark, a dismissive tone. It feels like a direct attack. But the truth is, most of the time, what people say or do has very little to do with you and almost everything to do with them. That's where projection comes in. Projection is when people throw their own fears, insecurities, frustrations, and pain onto you. It's like holding up a mirror, but instead of seeing you, they're really seeing themselves. Someone who constantly criticizes may be deeply insecure about their own abilities. Someone who tries to belittle you might feel small inside. Someone who lashes out in anger is often battling a storm within themselves. When you understand this, you stop carrying the weight of their emotions as if they belong to you. Think about it. How many times has someone been cold, distant, or harsh with you, only for you to later realize it had nothing to do with you at all? Maybe they were stressed, hurt, or dealing with their own battles, yet in the moment, it felt personal. That's the trap. When you personalize their behavior, you hand them power over your emotions. But when you recognize it as projection, you create distance. You remind yourself, this is their story, not mine. This is their pain, not my problem. This is their reflection, not my reality. When you stop personalizing everything, you free yourself from unnecessary anger. You begin to see people's actions for what they truly are. Clues about them, not evidence about you. That shift in perspective is liberation. It means you no longer get pulled into every emotional storm because you understand the storm isn't yours to carry. And here's the magic. Once you understand projection, compassion often replaces anger. Instead of feeling attacked, you begin to see that person as someone struggling with their own demons. You don't excuse their behavior, but you refuse to let it poison your peace. You learn to protect your calm by remembering that people act out of what's inside them, not what's inside you. One of the most powerful skills you can ever master is the ability to pause. In that small space between what happens to you and how you respond lies all of your strength, all of your control, and all of your freedom. Because anger thrives on instant reactions. The faster you react, the more control you lose. But the moment you insert a pause, you take your power back. Think about how many times anger has led people to say things they didn't mean, do things they later regretted, or make decisions that damaged relationships forever. All because they reacted too quickly. Anger loves speed, but wisdom loves stillness. And when you train yourself to pause, even for a few seconds, you break that cycle. You create space to breathe, to reflect, to ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Will this matter later? Do I really want to give this person control over me? The pause is not weakness, it's strategy. It shows discipline. It proves that you are not a puppet to your emotions, but the master of them. Because when you pause, you give yourself the power to choose a response instead of being driven by an impulse. You can choose silence, you can choose calm, you can choose to walk away. And in that choice lies the difference between chaos and peace. Pausing also unsettles the person trying to provoke you. They expect an immediate reaction, an argument, a defense, a rise in your voice. But when you don't give them what they want, when you meet their heat with calm, it confuses them. Your restraint becomes louder than their noise. Your stillness exposes their lack of control. And suddenly, the power dynamic shifts. You are in control, not them. A pause is like armor. It shields you from making rash moves that could cost you more than the situation itself. It protects your dignity, your peace, and your clarity. It allows you to rise above the noise without ever lowering yourself too. Oh, it. And once you master the pause, you realize that nothing and no one has the ability to shake you unless you hand them that permission. One of the biggest reasons people get angry, frustrated, or bothered is because they tie their self-worth to what others think about them. A careless comment, a judgmental look, or an unkind opinion suddenly feels like a dagger to the heart. But here's the truth. People will always have opinions, and if you let every single one define you, you will never live free. The power lies in detaching your emotions from their words. You see, opinions are reflections of people's own perspectives, biases, and limitations. They are not facts. They are not universal truths. Yet when you absorb them as if they're gospel, you hand over your peace and your confidence. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care at all. It means you refuse to give others the authority to dictate how you feel about yourself. When you learn to detach, you build an inner shield. Imagine someone throws a harsh opinion at you. Without detachment, it penetrates, wounds, and lingers. But with detachment, it bounces off. You hear it, but you don't absorb it. You acknowledge it, but you don't let it poison your mind. You know who you are, and no one else's version of you can override your truth. The danger of emotional attachment to opinions is that it turns you into a prisoner of validation. If someone praises you, you feel elated. If they criticize you, you feel crushed. Your emotions rise and fall like a seesaw, controlled entirely by external forces. Detachment breaks that cycle. It allows you to stand steady, whether people applaud or condemn. It helps you remain grounded in your own sense of worth, independent of the noise around you. Detaching emotionally is also the secret to staying unbothered in conflicts. When someone tries to provoke you with judgment or criticism, they're testing whether you'll let their words penetrate. If you react with anger, you've handed them power. But if you remain centered, detached and calm, you've shown them that their opinion has no control over your state of mind. That is strength. That is freedom. When you master this skill, you begin to live life on your terms, not on the ever-shifting opinions of the crowd. You realize that no amount of approval or disapproval changes your truth. You stop being a puppet on the strings of other people's voices, and instead, you stand firm in your own. Not every situation deserves your reaction, not every comment deserves your response, and not every battle deserves your energy. One of the greatest lessons in life is learning to pick your battles wisely. Because when you try to fight every single thing that bothers you, you end up drained, distracted, and robbed of your peace. The real strength is not in how loudly you fight, but in how wisely you decide what's worth fighting for. Think about it. How many times do people get into arguments over the smallest, most irrelevant issues? A snide remark, a difference of opinion, a trivial disagreement. Hours of energy wasted, emotions running high, only to realize later that it wasn't even worth it. Choosing battles means asking yourself, does this really matter in the long run? Will this situation affect my goals, my values, or my well-being? Or is it just noise trying to pull me away from my focus? When you learn to pause and evaluate, you discover that most of what tries to provoke you isn't worth engaging in. Some people want to lure you into unnecessary conflict just to feed their ego. Some situations are designed to test your patience, to pull you into chaos. But if you jump into every fight, you become reactive, predictable, and exhausted. Instead, by choosing carefully, you conserve your energy for the battles that truly matter, the ones that align with your values, your growth, and your purpose. Choosing battles is also a sign of maturity. It shows that you're not desperate to prove yourself at every turn. You don't need to respond to every challenge because you know your worth doesn't depend on constant defense. Sometimes silence is the stronger response because it proves you're too focused to be dragged down by pettiness. Other times, speaking up is necessary because your boundaries, dignity, or principles are on the line. Wisdom is knowing the difference. This is how true power is built, not in fighting constantly, but in knowing when to stand still and when to move. Every battle you skip is not a loss, it's a choice. And every battle you pick with intention is a statement that your energy is precious, your peace is valuable, and your focus cannot be scattered on things that don't deserve you. Drama is everywhere: workplaces, families, friendships, social media. It thrives on gossip, conflict, and exaggerated emotions. And if you're not careful, you can get swept right into it without even realizing. That's why one of the most important skills to master is emotional detachment from drama. Because drama is like quicksand. The more you engage, the deeper you sink. But when you detach, you rise above it untouched. People who live for drama feed on reactions. They want you to get angry, defensive, or hurt. They thrive when they know they can pull you into their storm. But when you practice detachment, you take away their fuel. You stop giving them the satisfaction of controlling your mood. You show them that their chaos has no entry into your peace. Detachment doesn't mean indifference, it means discipline. It means you don't allow unnecessary stories, gossip, or conflicts to dictate your energy. You don't attend every argument you're invited to. You don't get consumed by other people's emotional roller coasters. Instead, you observe, you listen, but you don't absorb. You know when to step back, when to stay silent, and when to walk away. That is emotional intelligence in action. When you master detachment from drama, you start noticing how much lighter life feels. Suddenly, things that used to bother you lose their grip. The office gossip, it no longer rattles you. The family conflict, you stop being the emotional sponge for everyone else's issues. The online negativity, it slides right past you. You've built a shield that protects your peace from the noise around you. And here's the truth. People will always create drama. That will never change. What you can change is how you respond. Instead of jumping in, you rise above. Instead of defending yourself against every rumor, you let your silence speak. Instead of letting drama consume your mind, you redirect. Our focus toward what actually matters, your goals, your growth, your happiness. This art of detachment transforms you into someone unshakable. People may try to provoke you, but you no longer bend to their games. You've trained yourself to stay calm, centered, and untouchable, no matter how loud the drama gets around you. Drama is everywhere: workplaces, families, friendships, social media. It thrives on gossip, conflict, and exaggerated emotions. And if you're not careful, you can get swept right into it without even realizing. That's why one of the most important skills to master is emotional detachment from drama. Because drama is like quicksand. The more you engage, the deeper you sink. But when you detach, you rise above it untouched. People who live for drama feed on reactions. They want you to get angry, defensive, or hurt. They thrive when they know they can pull you into their storm. But when you practice detachment, you take away their fuel. You stop giving them the satisfaction of controlling your mood. You show them that their chaos has no entry into your peace. Detachment doesn't mean indifference, it means discipline. It means you don't allow unnecessary stories, gossip, or conflicts to dictate your energy. You don't attend every argument you're invited to. You don't get consumed by other people's emotional roller coasters. Instead, you observe, you listen, but you don't absorb. You know when to step back, when to stay silent, and when to walk away. That is emotional intelligence in action. When you master detachment from drama, you start noticing how much lighter life feels. Suddenly, things that used to bother you lose their grip. The office gossip, it no longer rattles you. The family conflict, you stop being the emotional sponge for everyone else's issues. The online negativity, it slides right past you. You've built a shield that protects your peace from the noise around you. And here's the truth. People will always create drama. That will never change. What you can change is how you respond. Instead of jumping in, you rise above. Instead of defending yourself against every rumor, you let your silence speak. Instead of letting drama consume your mind, you redirect. Our focus toward what actually matters, your goals, your growth, your happiness. This art of detachment transforms you into someone unshakable. People may try to provoke you, but you no longer bend to their games. You've trained yourself to stay calm, centered, and untouchable, no matter how loud the drama gets around you. Silence is often misunderstood as weakness, but in reality, it is one of the most powerful tools you can ever master. Words can escalate conflicts, fuel egos, and add fire to situations. But silence disarms, silence confuses, silence exposes what words often hide. When you choose silence, you're not surrendering, you're choosing control, clarity, and dignity. When someone tries to provoke you, their goal is to pull a reaction out of you. They want your anger, your frustration, your energy. But when you respond with silence, you starve their ego. You deny them the satisfaction of knowing they've gotten under your skin. Instead of feeding their drama, your silence forces them to face their own noise. It creates discomfort because suddenly the power dynamic shifts. They are loud and you are calm. They are chaotic and you are composed. Silence is not emptiness. It is a statement louder than words. It says, I don't owe you my energy. I don't need to explain myself. I don't have to prove anything to you. It communicates boundaries without confrontation. It sets the tone that your peace is non-negotiable and no one has the right to disturb it. Think of silence as armor. Every time you choose not to react, you are protecting your energy. You are saying to yourself, not every action deserves a reaction. Not every voice deserves a reply. Not every situation deserves my presence. And the more you practice it, the more powerful it becomes. Silence also gives you perspective. While others are quick to speak, you are listening, observing, calculating. You're not blinded by rage or impulse. You're patient, measured, and intentional. That stillness allows you to see through situations more clearly, to understand the motives behind people's words, and to decide whether their noise even deserves your attention. The beauty of silence is that it cannot be twisted. Words can be misquoted, misunderstood, or manipulated. But silence leaves no room for distortion. It leaves people with their own thoughts, their own guilt, their own insecurities echoing back at them. And often, that echo is louder than any argument you could have given. By mastering silence, you're not avoiding power, you're redefining it. You're teaching others that your presence cannot be commanded, your emotions cannot be played with, and your peace cannot be bought at the cost of a reaction. Every time you get angry, every time you allow yourself to be bothered, you're spending energy, and energy is the most valuable currency you own. The question is, where are you investing it? Are you wasting it on arguments that don't matter? Or are you redirecting it into building the best version of yourself? The truth is, conflict drains you, but self-mastery transforms you. Think about it. Anger doesn't solve problems, it only fuels them. Arguments rarely change minds, they only deepen divides. But the energy that could have been wasted on defending yourself, proving your point, or feeding someone's ego can instead be channeled into growth, into sharpening your skills, strengthening your mindset, and elevating your focus. That's where transformation happens, not in the chaos of conflict, but in the discipline of self-mastery. Self-mastery is about controlling what's inside you, even when the outside world is chaotic. It's about training your emotions, sharpening your focus, and choosing peace over drama. And that requires energy. Energy that you can't afford to waste on meaningless fights. Every time you redirect your attention from conflict to growth, you're investing in your future self. You're building resilience, discipline, and unshakable confidence. The irony is this: people who try to provoke you actually want to distract you from your own power. They want to pull you into their chaos because they know that if you stay focused, you become unstoppable. But when you refuse to engage and instead channel that fire inward, you're not just protecting your peace, you're multiplying your strength. Redirecting energy also means turning triggers into fuel. Instead of letting anger consume you, you use it as motivation. Instead of wasting hours replaying an argument, you use that same intensity to push harder in your goals. Instead of giving someone else the satisfactions of controlling your emotions, you prove that you control yourself. And that level of self-mastery is magnetic. It commands respect without ever raising your voice. When you master the art of redirecting energy, you stop being reactive and start being intentional. You no longer fight for the sake of fighting. You fight for your growth, your dreams, and your future. That is where true power lies, not in how loudly you argue, but in how fiercely you evolve. Too often, people confuse power with domination. They think being powerful means raising their voice louder, controlling others, or winning every argument. But that isn't real power. It's just noise. True power is not about how much control you have over others, but how much control you have over yourself. Because a person who can master their inner world cannot be shaken by the outer one. Think of it this way. Anyone can get angry. Anyone can lash out, shout, or fight. That doesn't take strength. It takes impulse. Real strength is being able to remain calm when everything around you is designed to provoke you. Real power is the ability to choose silence when you could have screamed, to walk away when you could have attacked, and to rise above when you could have sunk down to their level. Control over yourself is the highest form of dominance because it means no one else has the ability to control you. Imagine how untouchable you become when insults don't move you, when gossip doesn't shake you, when manipulation doesn't trick you. You're not controlled by people's opinions, you're not addicted to proving yourself, and you're not a slave to anger. That kind of inner control is magnetic. It intimidates people who thrive on chaos because they realize they can't penetrate your calm. True power is also sustainable. Outer domination depends on constant effort. shouting louder, pushing harder, fighting endlessly. It drains you. But inner control feeds you. It strengthens your confidence, deepens your focus, and keeps you grounded no matter how turbulent life gets. It means you carry your strength with you everywhere because it doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from mastering yourself. And here's the truth. People who try to dominate others are often the weakest inside. They scream the loudest because silence terrifies them. They try to control others because they cannot control themselves. But the ones who practice inner control don't need to dominate. They command respect simply by the way they carry themselves. Their presence speaks louder than their words, and their composure outshines anyone's chaos. When you understand this, you stop wasting energy on trying to prove power externally. You start cultivating it internally. You realize that the most unshakable strength is not in conquering others, it's in conquering yourself. Emotional boundaries are one of the most powerful forms of self-protection you can ever build. They are the invisible lines that separate your peace from someone else's chaos, your clarity from their confusion, and your strength from their insecurity. Without boundaries, people will drain you, manipulate you, and take advantage of your energy. With boundaries, you control how much access they have to your emotions. The discipline of emotional boundaries begins with understanding that not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone deserves to know your vulnerabilities, your struggles, or even your dreams. The more open access people have, the easier it becomes for them to use that information against you, whether intentionally or unconsciously. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are filters that protect your peace and your power. When you set emotional boundaries, you're making a statement. My energy is precious. My mind is sacred. My heart is not a playground for your issues. You stop allowing people to dump their negativity onto you. You stop over-explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop saying yes out of guilt when your heart is screaming no. That is the discipline. It takes strength to enforce boundaries when others push against them. And let's be clear, people will test your boundaries. Some will guilt-trip you. Some will accuse you of being cold, arrogant, or selfish. But that's because your boundaries disrupt the control they once had. Your refusal to engage in unnecessary drama or to absorb their emotions feels threatening to them. But to you, it is liberation. You are teaching them how to treat you by what you allow and what you refuse. Boundaries are also a form of emotional clarity. They help you distinguish between what belongs to you and what doesn't. Someone's anger, that's theirs. Someone's eon's insecurity, theirs. Someone's attempt to provoke you, still theirs. Without boundaries, you carry other people's baggage until you break under the weight. With boundaries, you stand tall, carrying only what is yours to carry. And the beauty of strong boundaries is that they make you unbothered. The noise is still there, but it can't reach you. The drama may exist, but it can't consume you. You decide how much access anyone has to your emotions, and that decision is the ultimate power.